Good afternoon. My name is Askold Melnichuk, and I'm the editor and publisher of Arrowsmith Press. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Arrowsmith's first, and I hope last, virtual book launch. Before introducing our first introducer, I'd like to thank our tremendous crew of interns who've risen so gloriously to the multiple challenges of this mad period. Rashona Michael, Laura Stitzevich, Jacqueline Rosenbaum, Jessica Skylson, Cherish Collins, Johnny Lipshin, Cardinal Belgrave, and our videographer, filmmaker, and director, Rhea Amin. Thank you for your selfless commitment to bringing these books to our readers. A special acknowledgement is due to our managing editor, Ezra Fox, who, to quote the poet Bill Knott, keeps the quatrains and us running on time. Above all, our deep thanks to our writers, who give us nothing less than a reason for being, and whose books we're so very proud to launch this afternoon. Peter Balakian, Scott Harney and Megan Marshall, Kythe Heller, and Oksana Zabushko. Finally, I want to note that this is an extraordinary moment for the Republic in so many ways, and I want to urge all of you listening to be sure to make your voice heard by voting in November. It's my pleasure now to invite poet and scholar Mackenzie Herder to introduce this afternoon's first reader, Oksana Zabushko, who will be reading from the just published Selected Poems.
Hello everyone, my name is Mackenzie Herder, and earlier this year I had the pleasure of working with Askold Melnichuk in editing Oksana Zabushko's selected poems and in interviewing Oksana. So it is absolutely an honor to be here today to be the one to introduce her. Oksana Zabushko is one of Ukraine's most influential and controversial thinkers, writers, and activists. Her debut novel, Fieldwork in Ukrainian Sex, remained a bestseller in Ukraine for over a decade and dramatically changed Ukraine's literary scene. This year, in addition to her selected poems, Zabushko also had a book of selected stories, Your Ad Could Go Here, published in the US, which I'm about halfway done with, and it is absolutely fabulous if you haven't picked it up yet. She has won numerous awards in Ukraine and internationally, including most recently, the Ramaswamy Award for her selected poems. Oksana Zabushko's work has the rare quality of being intensely personal while gesturing at much larger universal concerns about liberty, women's place in society, and the traumatic long-term effects of political dysfunction as they manifest in even the most intimate relationships. These matters surface in all of Zabushko's writing, in all her more than 20 books, though particularly so in her poetry, which, though rooted in a specific place and time, retains an aura of timelessness and abiding relevance. It's these qualities that have earned Zabushko international regard and acclaim, and if my own experience encountering her work is taken as any indicator, will continue to speak and inspire readers from all over the world, no matter their age and background. So, without further ado, I present to you from Kiev, Oksana Zabushko.
Кассандра до Клітемнестрі. Ти правда і не жінка, Леся Українка. Агамемнон іде, піднімається сходами, і сонце світить у спину йому, і увесь він відолунює міддю, мов налитий війною болван, і реплять шкіряні поворозки бляшаних його обладунків. Приберіть, не хочу, не бажаю звіриного запаху з рота, ані рук його в нігтях лямованих чорним. Ці руки зривають одежу із мене, як з мертвого тіла на полі бою, і, можливо, під нігтями ще догнивають ворсинки і лупа із одежі й волосся забитих. Може, я і не жінка, Я не хочу вищати й звиватись от смертної втіхи, на виліт прохломлена лезом сліпучим, у скалках смердючого поту, що поливає на мене липкими соками смерті, під тягарем необорнішим царської влади, під тілом ненавиджу. Тонке скавління суки, котре заляскоче мимо моєї волі, втумить у мене в гортані. Ненавиджу хвилю змори, котра огорне його збухлу двільгости пористу та ранкуватість його глибкого підгорля понад собою, коли будуть розплющувати очі. О, сину Атрея, так під тобою пручалась розпластана Троя. Стріла поціляє в брухке і живе, і охоплене тремом. Це лань? Брісеїда? Чи горяч жіноцької крові, по стегнах стікаючи, робить тебе переможцем, що кров добуває із тіл, наче праведник воду зі скелі? Не перелюбство, не скотолюдство, але скотолоство змагать Клітемнестру, і Лань, і Касандру, і Трою, і Мікени. Може, я й не жінка. Агамемнон надходить, і довшають тіні з запахом пітьми і поту. А мені таки зимно. Я стою і дрижу з осяяння. Вбивати – то також робота. Прясти, ткати, розпускати, як та, що з Ітаки, трояндове тіло егіс, фах причин тут егіс, натирати пестливим олійком, насолода для пальців, заняття для пальців, та не для цариці. Це нічим не шляхетніш, ніж, приміром, мацання вістен. І стокрот уже ліпше було б з якимось молільником утекти хоч до Дельф і, можливо, пошитися в жриці, де щосвята належати всім перехожим калікам, віддаючись незрячатій силі, позбавленій лику, що не прагне спиняти удар на бігу, погородитись, що сміється повсюди, мінлива, текуча й незримо. Ах, як зимно! Сходиш, освітлений сонцем зі спини, обгорівний, що погорівніший, то ненавидніший, то притягальніш, ступа твоя сходами, кожен бо крок в ній залажить з рік Іліонський. Ах, ну ж, ближче, ближче. Завмираючи з захвату, сліпнучи з чорно-білого розчерку тіней, осоння плит мармурових. На всю силу уяви держу собі перед зором одним єдиний покоїк, де заслона вся вибухлий пурпур. Коли ти зайдеш за неї, я єдиним божистим жестом руки твердої от холоду, вірного їй металу. Все перевершу, на що ти досі спромігся. Я засную нове царство, світ без Агамемнона.
Hi, I am Cherish Collins, and I'll be reading Clytemnestra, translated by Lisa Sappenkoff. Clytemnestra has an epigraph. The epigraph is, "You are not really a woman." And this is Clytemnestra. Agamemnon's coming home. He's climbing the stairs. The sun is behind him. He's clanging with brass like a war-bloated idol. The leather thongs of his armor are squeaking. "Take it off. I don't want it. I don't want the animal smell of his mouth or his hands with their black-rimmed nails. Those hands rip off my clothes as if I were a corpse on a battlefield, and under his nails the flakes and fuzz from the clothes and hair of the slain are rotting. Maybe I'm not really a woman. I don't want to scream and squirm with mortal pleasure, pierced by that gleaming weapon of his, soaked in globs of sweat, stinking of his regal power trapped under his body, trickling its sticky death juices on me. I hate the high-pitched bitch's whimper that will escape my throat. I hate the wave of languor that will embrace me and the doughy, pitted neck above me. When I open my eyes, O son of Atreus, that's how Troy outstretched writhed underneath you. Your arrows target anything alive, elastic, quick. Is it the doe, Briseis, or hot female blood flowing down thighs that make you the victor, able to draw blood from a body like the sinless man from water from a stone? It wasn't lust or beastliness, but bestiality, to have conquered Clytemnestra and the doe, and Cassandra, Mycenae, and Troy. Maybe I'm not really a woman. Agamemnon's coming home, and the shadows smelling of darkness and sweat are growing longer. I'm cold. I'm shaking from the realization killing is a job. Spinning, weaving, unweaving like that woman from Ithaca rubbing Aegisthus' rosy body. What does he have to do with this? With soothing oil. These are pleasures for hands, occupations for hands, but not those of a queen. They are no more noble, for instance, than fingering pockmarks. It would be 100 times better to run off with some pilgrims, say to Delphi and become a priestess, to belong at every feast to every passing cripple, to give myself up blindly to that faceless force without malevolence, an omnipresent, shifting, coursing, unseen. Oh, how cold I am. You're climbing the stairs, backlit by the sun. Oh, godlike, more hateful, more compelling is your stride up the stairs. Each step weighs 1 year of the Trojan War. Oh, come closer, closer, stiff with excitement, half blinded by the black and white. This graph of shadows, patches of sun on the marble tiles, I'm keeping in my sight with the whole strength of my imagination. Just this one small room, where the curtains burnt like crimson when you step behind it. With a single lordly gesture of my hand, steady with the cold, obedient metal, I'll outdo everything you have accomplished. I'll establish a new kingdom, a world without Agamemnon.
Hi, my name is Lara Stickwitz, and I'll be reading A Definition of Poetry, translated by Michael M. Naidan and Askold Melnichek. I know I'll die a difficult death, like anyone who loves the precise music of her own body, who knows how to force it through the gaps in fear as through a needle's eye, who has danced a lifetime with the body, every move of shoulders, back, and thighs shimmering with mystery, like a Sanskrit word. Muscles playing under the skin like fish in a nocturnal pool. Thank you, Lord, for giving us bodies. When I die, tell the carpenters to take down the rafters and ceiling. They say my great-grandfather, a sorcerer, got out this way. When my body softens with moisture, the bloated soul, dark and bulging, will strain like a blue vein in a boiled egg white, and the body will ripple with spasms. Like the blanket a sick man wrestles off because it's hot, and the soul will rise to break through the press of flesh, curse of gravity. The cosmos, above the black well of the room, will suck on its galactic tube, heaven breaking in a blistering starfall, and draw the soul up, trembling like a sheet of paper. My young soul, the color of wet grass, to freedom, then stop, it screams, escaping, on the dazzling borderline between two worlds. Stop, wait, my God, at last. Look, here's where poetry comes from. Fingers twitching for the ballpoint, growing cold, becoming not mine.
Визначення поезії. Знаю, що вмиратиму. тяжко. Як усі, хто любить точену музику власного тіла, хто вміє легко просилювати його у отвори страху, як у вушко голки, хто весь вік ним протанцював, так що кожен порух плечей і лопаток і стегон світився далекою тайною смислу, як слово санскритської мови, і м'язи під шкірою грали, мов риби в нічному ставку. Дякую тобі, Боже, що дав нам тіло. Тож, коли помиратиму, гукніть майстрів, аби зняли наді мною покрів. Так помирав мій прадід, кажуть, відьмак. І ось тоді, коли крізь розм'якле вже тіло, переливаючись, мов крізь некруто зварений білок, проблимне натужно набрякла душа, випинаючись потемнінням, а тіло тим часом тими корчами, мов ковдра, що хоче скинути хворий, бо вона його душить, а душа все пнутиметься прорвати стиск плоті, проклін гравітації. Ось тоді у вилом стелі шумким крижаним зорепадом рине космос. І тягом в свою галактичну трубу видує душу, закрутить, як аркуш паперу, мою молодісіньку душу, барви мокрої зелені, ах, на свободу, і стійте! Скрикне вона вмить прориву крізь тіло, вмить на що найсліпучішім лезі поміж двома світами. Стійте! Отут зупиніться! Ось де вона, поезія, Боже, нарешті. Пальці востаннє шарпнуться в пошуках авторучки. Вже застигають, роблячись вже немої. I just want to say that I'm grateful more than I can tell to the Arrowsmith for this amazing experience, for the book that kind of summarizes my many years in poetry and my many years of collaboration with my English translators, starting with the 90s in Boston and among the and the community that has been there, and now with this wonderful presentation in the times when we are all sick by now with the online presentations, the Arrowsmith team somehow manages to turn it into the dialogue, into the choir of these living voices talking among themselves, discussing and living in poetry, through poetry and in poetry. And again, I see the community, a new Bostonian community, 20 years after, a generation after, but still a community that makes things happen. I do believe in the spirit of community that makes things happen. Thank you, Arrowsmith.
I am pleased to introduce the posthumous work of Scott Harney. Having kept his poetry largely to himself for 40 years, Scott left behind an astonishing trove of richly imagined and exquisitely sculpted poems. One of Robert Lowell's last students, Scott went on to develop a voice which sings steady and true, rendering unforgettable images from the streets of his youth in Charleston, Mass., to the intimate scenes in his adopted city of Naples, Italy. The people and places in these poems feel so close you could reach out and touch them. Edited by Scott's partner, Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer Megan Marshall, The Blood of San Gennaro will leave you wondering how such layered and echoing poems remained hidden for so long. And now I'm honored to introduce this presentation put together by Megan Marshall, featuring her voice as well as the voices of Alondra Bobadilla, David Stang, Andrea Cohen, Lloyd Schwartz, Blake Campbell, and Scott Harney himself. Please enjoy.
You have reached the voicemail box of...
Hi, I made a mistake about the poetry reading. I thought that this part of the year they were every week, but apparently sometimes they skip a week. Skipped this week. So I might just grab something to eat in Harvard Square and make my way home eventually. Bye.
Days of waking. I remember days I woke before you, just to watch, as you slept on your side, the sun begin to pool in the valley of your waist, a landscape like the one that I imagined you had come from, and I had yet to see. California, still all dreamy, lurid vistas in my gray New England mind. The stuff of labels slapped on farmers' crates, Mission Bell or Westward Ho, the produce combed in perfect rows on slopes of weedless soil. Sometime later, I woke among the dead on a rough edge of Los Angeles, wondering where you were, where I was, and what it meant that a single cockroach climbing up the curtain at the Motel Mariposa did not dare to leap from one pleat to the next. And for a moment, the woman that I traveled with was you. But her valley held no sun, so our only choice was Tijuana, where I stared down the boys who stared at her because I felt like taking a stand, there being nothing else to do among the ancient Chevys, the open hands. In a room of golden fleur-de-lis on Burgundy, I woke before a judge and let him speak the words that wed me to another. It was October, warm but stormy, and I could smell the sweet rot of wet leaves in the street. But the kid I paid $100 to play some easy Mendelssohn, some light Chopin, just wouldn't stop. In Sonoma Valley on our honeymoon, it almost seemed, in certain light, the labels showed it right. Not long ago, I woke again from a nap in a suburban living room where I slept each chance I got, as a man might do 3 weeks after his wife walks out. The TV that had mumbled me to sleep still on, I opened my eyes, and you were there, at the end of a 30-second interview, like some angel that had come to meet the press. I don't recall a word you said, but through the open window, shouts of children in the wind sounded like the trumpets of the seraphim. On the first morning of my 50th year, I woke with you again, the sunlight cradled in your waist, not the glow of heaven, or even California, just enough to keep me from the dark.
Working in pajamas. Not for the promise of making thousands at home in my spare time, but for a wage just above minimum. I worked once in pajamas, not dressed in such, but selling them on the first floor of Filane's department store. From the counter I manned like an ancient ship. I could see men's socks across the bay, hung like fish in a harbor market. To starboard, men's hats were on display, including the one for which I longed, a cap of leather, lined with rabbit, as worn by flyers in high, cold places beyond my reach, as was the price, even with a discount granted to employees so you could give them back your pay. Today I am a man of influence and means. So now own too as the earth turns warmer. But back to my pajamas. These were the dying days of polyester, so I held out silks and the finest cottons to the ladies who, yes, did most of the buying, but they refused to return to their irons and pushed these weaves away for the holy blend of 60-40, even after I delicately questioned the point of ironing pajamas at all. One day, a junior buyer emerged from the stockroom with the king of sleepwear, the lord of loungewear, the god of bachelor attire, a velvet smoking jacket, burgundy trimmed with shiny black piping lined with navy acetate, tailored in Hong Kong before the rest of China freed itself to slave for the first world. Like a Count Courtier, he dressed a headless torso in the jacket made famous by movie stars and a pornographer whose name will not matter to you readers of future centuries. And so I wondered with my colleagues on other days and shifts, who would buy this? What rich bastard sugar mama or celebrity would pay the price so high it made the register ad in a tax for luxury, which I knew of only from the game Monopoly. And of course you know the rest. A man in rags showed up and paid in cash to walk out with a jacket in a gift box under his arm, whistling. What you don't know is this man wore the jacket only when alone to look at photos of his wife, dead for 14 years. This morning, I am working in pajamas with little time to spare. The sea outside my window calling me to sail far out to unknown lands beyond myself or deeper towards those inner harbors also never seen. And whether you work or don't, in Italian suits or pajamas, a gull still labors on against the salty spit and wind that never ends.
The view from Parco Grifeo. Paola serves me breakfast in her Chinese silk pajamas. Coffee with steamed milk. The juice of blood oranges erupted whole from sweet volcanic soil. And toast from a ribbed grill that tastes of the same sweet ash. Sweeping on her terrace high on the Vomero hill, she looks out at the sea and tells me whether I should sail. She says, "No noche," pointing down to a broad harbor that looks to me like merely rippled slate, not rough water. But Paola knows the sea. Or perhaps she only knows Fabrizio, her husband, took a rough ride out today to play his drums in a Capri club. What she doesn't know is soon she and I will have the same disease. Once carpeted with broccoli, this hill is named for plowshares or vomeri, implements that cut the crust of sloping fields until American and German bombs left the land good for nothing but the towers of apartments built by sudden money. Still, the view remains from ground or balcony, ferries and their feathered wakes, trees that cling to cliffs out by Posillipo, islands ringed in mist. And still, each day, the sun keeps potted cactuses alive on the terraces of Vomero. And still each night, Tunisian music throbs against the shore. Or maybe that's Fabrizio drumming in the wind.
Claudia. Outside a bookshop off Spaccanapoli, the old Greek road that cuts through Naples, divides time and severs the universe, I study postcards on a rack. A flower pot falls from a balcony and smashes at my feet. Enter Claudia, who has come from Brindisi to study Chinese and ask me, "Are you hurt?" in the English she already knew. I want to answer as if she cared that I had come to wander each medieval alley until I knew by heart where each one led or didn't lead, and I could trace without binoculars, each gray artery from the top of San Elmo's castle. If you have to ask what this has to do with hurt, you don't need to know. Claudia sweeps the dirt and bits of glazed ceramic. No flour, just dead roots. And then invites me in to sit with her by the register because I said her English sounded so perfectly American, as if I knew what that could mean, beyond the fact that when she said, "For sure," I heard the wind across Nebraska prairies. And also late American jazz, but that was a tape she played inside the store. The rolling drone of a lost piano. Perhaps you want this story to go on, or you're sick of it already. Was she lovely? Yes. But in a weary way, like a woman in a photo of Naples after the war. Deep-set eyes set even deeper by Southern Italian shade. And what happened after that? I went out and brought back coffees, tiny plastic cups filled with lava brewed in the core of Vesuvius. And then, did we sail away to Capri on the midnight ferry, glowing soft beneath a cinematic moon? No. We simply said goodbye as the dusk came early, as it always does on Spano Napoli, to the courtyards, doorways, and alleys, a violet soot on blackened stone.
Climbing Mount Vesuvius. Not the mythic hike you might imagine, nymphs and satyrs flitting about the steamy slopes, a distant hiss of orange lava just about to spill over the crater's edge. Not the grand tour trip via funicular, ladies fanning off volcanic dust as the tram groans to the cone. Just a ride by air-conditioned bus through the slanted suburbs at the base, up through fields of weeds, clotted with tar from a recent eruption. Perhaps that spurt in '44, a fart in the face of packing fascists. Halfway up, we stop at a souvenir shop where Gregorio, his hair ash white beneath a black leather cap, explains in several languages that he alone is the keeper of Vesuvius, and will sell you glossy books of hot red shots. For nothing more, he'll sign the flyleaf, adding a sketch of his charge, the smoking mountain on the bay, the usual view from Posillipo. The driver checks his watch. Perhaps he hears a distant rumble that signals magma rising, enough to melt down half of Naples. Or perhaps his stomach says it's time for lunch. He drops us near the summit for the last ascent, by the parking lot and toilets, snack bar, and more stuff for sale. Necklaces of lava, and a wine called Tears of Christ. I came to see the fires of hell and find instead a rest stop on the way to heaven. But up ahead, a wide path rises, filled with pilgrims streaming toward the rim. And so I follow, the sky spreading wider over my head, and land now falling away. The crater on one side, the sudden sea on the other, the way between forever narrowing. The great abyss today is just a gravel pit with a few small fissures letting off steam, but still no place for a picnic. Just stay steady for the walk ahead. to a shack on the narrowest edge where they sell limoncello for €1 a shot. And you sway between the crater and the rest of the world, deciding where to fall.
Ciao, Bella. Hope that you can hear this message. Things are going very well here. This place is really gorgeous. This place I'm Catholic. And so basically I'm quite happy here. Early October. It's quite warm. I've already gone for a nice swim to the beach. It's very close and low, sharp rocks, just smooth pebbles. Anyway, give me a call if you feel like it. I'll be around. Bye.
La Grotta Azzurra. When the sea is calm enough for narrow rowboats to slip in, they come to see the blue light rise and daub the mossy walls. Something in the way the sun slants in turns black water milky blue. In 28 AD, Tiberius made this cave a swimming pool where boys and girls swam nude beneath huge statues, Neptune with his matted beard, the merman Triton blowing on his conch. A bunga-bunga party Berlusconi couldn't dream. When Rome fell, stone gods were tipped by Visigoths and sank to the blurry bottom. For centuries, the world forgot. Locals stayed away, fearing devils and blue monsters in the eerie glow. Until in 1826, a sailor sent a poet and a painter there, and all the trouble began. This afternoon, a dozen dinghies crowd outside the cave. We lie flat to save our heads from the low arc of the mouth, while boatmen pull along a chain and drag us in, each battered, peeling hull scraping the barnacled rock. At first, we notice only darkness, and then the opal cloud we float across. And for a moment, we believe this azure haze might change our lives. The boatmen sing their mocking scraps of Sole Mio just to make an echo for another coin and hustle the suckers out, but few complain. Christened by the holy blue, we can face the bright flat wash of just another day.
Hello, I'm Johnny Lipshin, editorial assistant for Arrowsmith Press. I had the pleasure of getting to know Kythe Heller in advance of today's virtual launch, and I am humbled to introduce her. She is a woman of kindness and grace, one of those special people who builds community wherever she goes. This lust for life is evident when you read Kythe's newest collection of poems, Firebird. I've turned to Firebird many times in 2020 because it is a book that seems to speak to and for our moment. Each time I visited the burning world, something new emerged from the text. I saw bodies shift in shape. I heard voices change in pitch. I felt fire splinter and unify characters across the collection's 64 pages. These poems are, as Kythe so beautifully states, experiences, secret spaces of consciousness to slip into, building as you read them architectural spaces within your body, within consciousness, portals or doorways that can lead you inside yourself. So while Firebird does examine how the human spirit persists under extreme conditions, it is also a book about the human condition, what it really means when we reach our end. This might be why I keep returning to Firebird, because it makes me believe we have yet to find it. Kythe is a doctoral candidate at the Harvard Divinity School. Her poems and essays have appeared in the American Poetry, the Southern Review, Tricycle, and the Akron series in Contemporary Poetics. Her work has been supported by grants and fellowships from Harvard University, Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, the Mellon Foundation, the MacDowell Colony, Virginia Center for the Creative Arts, Vermont Studio Center, and Squaw Valley Community of Writers. Kythe is the founder of Vision Lab, a collective of creatives working across spirituality, the arts, social and environmental justice, and technology. It is with great pride that I welcome Kythe Heller.
Hello! I would like to invite you to experience 3 collaborations which have emerged out of my collection of poems called Firebird, which has just been published by Arrowsmith Press. There are many people to thank, all of whose names are mentioned immediately after this in the title card. There's also a central question the poems ask, which is the question of the Firebird. How might one reinvent a life, a world, a society when it has been devastated by suffering and by loss? How is flying born out of nothing? Thank you. Earth has painted me white and adorned me with feathers, given me this mask of fire fashioned from the skin of my inner thighs. When I am laid on the altar and my life shatters, Earth says, the existence of the world depends on the heart's ascending flight. Something sobbing in me all the time, all the time. When my lover touches me, what I feel in my body is like the awkward thrashing of a bird slipping out from two palms as the breath catches. Each moment, the limit of the flame to which it owes its flying. I do not know if it's called pleasure or pain. I feel him directly. When he left, I said, Psyche threw his clothes into the street, stood in the kitchen weeping, unable to wash the spoon his lips had touched. I told you other lies as we worked and took you to the bathroom. The beauty of your fingers blessing the stranger's bones soared up through me with a loneliness like being in love. No one will remember you if I don't write this. You are probably dead by now with your degenerative disease. We were shivering in the faulty fluorescence. When she forgot to eat, I said, her friend stuck pieces of tape on her shoes that said, eat. Inside me, a woman is making a cairn of dead birds. For a moment, her hand is held out and steadied, as if to touch a rain too fine to feel. I thought I found her in passionate grief. I thought I discovered her at last in radiant loss. I thought she wanted me so broken, I could not separate broken from whole, in the leaping laughter and in the inconsolable. See inside the laughter and climb into the seed, she said. See the X-ray light flowing over your bones. Say the word that will release me. Let me begin again. I am far. I am so far. I am stupid. I surrender everything. A cartload of X-ray negatives, empty, contains the language of the underworld and more. I cannot even call you by your name in the dark. You have no name. You are this close. You are nothing and closer. Mattress under the overpass. She could douse it with a gallon of lighter fluid, light the match. If she could watch like this always, always to watch, never to enter, never to feel the brightness catch and the fabric searing. Look how the mattress holds everything the body refuses to keep inside. Leak, stain, spot, and mark. But nothing belongs to it. How will she hold herself if she cannot hold this? The exhausting wheel of wounding and healing burns. Look inside the mattress. The suffering burns. The desire to heal again through suffering burns. I don't want to feel, but how could I bear not feeling? She's been floating for years, hovering somewhere above her body, I said. Is this the bed she must enter? Is this where she was conceived, in a bed of fire? Wings lifting up, mouth open, calling over the gauze of smoke, the dim orange hum coming and going over them. Did she know what knowing is? As the bed burned from the outside in, black flakes oranging at the edges, then breaking off in pieces to spark out on the sand. Which was the blaze that burned through the outer husk of her? Which seared into the mattress, into every fiber of tissue and flesh, to burn away what she was, what she meant to become? There, where the wound is open, utterly still in its need, so completely still in hunger, as the sway of yellows swell and fall over it, swell and fall. The skin of eyelids covering the whole of a body, eyelids all flickering, ready to exist along the whole horizon of its being, ready to exist, a unified weeping like the emergence of the soul. What do the dead want from us? What is the light of the inside? Light meeting light, like mirror meeting fire. The body of eyes everywhere, a joyful sobbing everywhere, a crackling wash of cries, where the glowing coals emerge, just at the center of the fluff of ash and blackened fabric. Last night, I felt the flames climb in at last to the inner core. They found the wire mesh of the mattress twisted in its skeleton of light, its body of glowing gold in the black. Joy or anguish, to be born in fire, in the elemental moment, to feel the flames coursing over my bones, caressing every cell with light, until at last the fire bent down low over the rib cage and reached in. My shattered chest was coiled like wire, heart melted down to a single pore. Then that heart melted into the form of liquid pearl, which wobbled, flowed over, and rolled drop by drop to shatter into resplendences of grace, scattered as seeds of life and as light rays.
Hello, my name is Cardinal Belgrave Jr., editorial assistant at Arrowsmith Press. Earlier this year, I had the pleasure of interviewing Pulitzer Prize-winning author Peter Balakian about his new book of poetry, No Sign. A pair of voices, known to us only as he and she, interrogate instances of experience, large and small, past and now. War, geology, love, history, and extinction all share the stage. In No Sign, the world is still capable of color and beauty, alongside horrors, past and future. Peter Balakian is the author of 8 books of poetry, 4 books of prose, 3 collaborative translations, and several other edited works. He is also a recipient of many awards and prizes, including the Civic Citation, the Presidential Medal from the Republic of Armenia, and the Guggenheim and NEA Fellowships as examples. If you were to ask me what No Sign is about, I would ask you how much time you have, as sometimes I feel that it is about everything, or at least some of everything.
Hi, I'm Peter Balakian and happy to be reading some sections from my long poem, No Sign, which Arrowsmith Press has just published in a beautiful, fine, limited edition. I'm so grateful to Oskar Melnichuk for Arrowsmith Press and what he's done to make it happen and all he's done for literature, both here and abroad. Also grateful to Sarah Rifke and Ezra Fox for the beauty of this book, and to Mary Behrens, whose art adorns the cover and is also found in small elements on the pages. It's a really special edition, and I'm so just so pleased to see it. I'll say a little about the long poem, No Sign. A poem in 45 sections, and the third in a trilogy of long poems of mine, proceeding ones included A Train Ziggurat Elegy in my 2010 book and Ozone Journal in my 2016 book. In this poem, an estranged couple encounter each other after years on the cliffs of the New Jersey Palisades, which looks out at the Hudson River in Manhattan. The dialogue that ensues engages the geological history of Earth, climate change, the film Hiroshima, Mon Amour, the Vietnam War, as well as a reflection on the George Washington Bridge. I'm going to read 3 segments, the first 8, and then some segments from the middle of the poem, and then the last few segments of the poem. It's a poem in voices, so you will hear he and she. 1. He. Is it night already? She. No. He. Did our house fall down? She. What happened? He. Is it you? She. Say it, Sanji Bushugi. 2. He. Yes. She. Why should I believe you? He. Doesn't geology put us in our place? He. We appeared in the age of fission, vaporized bodies, ionized dragonflies, shadows printed on stone. She. Japanese cities burned in my dreams. I saw the newsreels in class decades later. He. Back here on the Palisades cliffs again, staring at Manhattan. Remember when the Sauterne was liquid gold? 3. She. In the beginning, there were alpha particles and gamma rays. We always see daylight through the kitchen window near dusk. We can't forget how dusk turns the hydrangea deep blue. We can't forget the glowing dioxin sun, the no-gaze morning, bright blue, Agent Orange sky, even now, after all. 4. He. Godard called Hiroshima Mon Amour Faulkner plus Stravinsky. She. Remember, at the Angelica, September smell of light rain, warm sidewalk, shop awnings, late summer. He. The Norrin curtains opened, the Norrin curtains closed. We stared at kanji, birds, sketches of roofs, a tree. The lovers walked through the curtains either way. Time shifted like breeze through eye sockets. She. They said goodbye, and the Norrin curtains opened, and the past was a burning city, seen in silence, just images on screens. He. What did Hiroshima mean to you? She. The end of the war, fear and terror that it could happen to us. Then indifference, astonishment that they dared do it. Then it became an unknown fear. In section 4, the pronouns revert to lui and elle, referring to the characters in the film Hiroshima Mon Amour. He, Godard called Hiroshima Mon Amour, Faulkner plus Stravinsky. She, remember at the Angelica, September smell of light rain, warm sidewalks, shop awnings, late summer. He, the Norrin curtains opened, the Norrin curtains closed. We stared at kanji, birds, sketches of roofs, a tree. The lovers walked through the curtains either way. Time shifted like breeze through eye sockets. She, they said goodbye, and the Norrin curtains opened, and the past was a burning city, seen in silence, just images on screens. Louis, what did Hiroshima mean to you? L, the end of the war, fear and terror that it could happen to us, then indifference, astonishment that they dare do it. Then it became an unknown fear. She, we're standing on an underground channel of molten rock that fed volcanic eruptions 200 million years ago as Pangaea pulled apart. He, maybe Pan and Gaia is one way to see our problem. She, world equals axis, equals two selves, swerve, possibility. He, take Pan, all day we've played around with him. She, here we are, lying on Gaia. He, top of a volcano, molten diabase cooled and hardened. We're on the sill, still, and rock is never still. She, the sill's eastern edge, equals Palisades cliffs, one version of home. 6. He, the original landmass, earth as whole, Pangaea, she, Pan and Gaia, equals bridging self with other. 7. He, remember the blizzard of letters, commas, question marks, dashes, words cut in half on the subway walls at 4th after we walked out of the movie? You said, one view of the post-war, a burger and a shake, a jukebox, and a neon rainbow on the wall. 8. He, if you said it was molten rock, I believed you. If you said the molten rock was once underground and created volcanic eruptions 600 million years ago, I believed you. If you said the eruptions covered 4 million square miles with basalt lava, I didn't flinch. And if the basalt lava blasted gales of carbon dioxide and sulfur into the atmosphere, I got the general idea. I got the general idea that there were long volcanic winters after and after, like sci-fi on a screen in a movie house at the beginning of time, when the reception was perfect. She, listened to Gaia. Quote, we broke apart 200 million years ago, end of Triassic, a molten diabase rose from deeper in the earth, intruded into the sandstones and shales. Then the molten rock spread, hardened, cooled. Then I was a sill overlaying softer rock, and the softer rock eroded. 9. He, the look of ionized skin of the two lovers in bed, the caressing, the trick of the camera, irradiated light, those oboes and violins and the skeleton flute, same as night and fog. Louis, you saw nothing. Elle, I saw everything. Louis, how could I have not seen it? Louis, you saw nothing in Hiroshima. Moving to the middle section of the poem, the couple become embroiled in a conversation about the Vietnam War. Section 19. There was Dien Bien Phu, essential, a ghost of grainy footage on some old reel on which French soldiers slid down hillsides like ants in glue. The gray pixelated dissolve of 1954, the reality pill down the hatch with no water. Refusal to learn from history, symptom of barbarism. Later, after Tet, quote, we heard small Buddhist chimes ringing for peace in Hoa Bien, end of quote. Hanoi, Nagasaki, Saigon, Hiroshima, keep saying it, it will sink in. 2019, here again, and no light at the end of the tunnel. No sign. 20. For hundreds of millions of years, orogenic forces crushed these stones until they became mountains. That's Gaia's message. Millennia of abrasion by the ocean, decapitated headlands and broken rock. We're standing on bloated eons of cliff crevice. Rocks are time. Tell that to the evangelicals. Feel them in your bones like a coal seam, the origin of the Hudson flowing down there, leaf debris, Precambrian stone, sedimentary inscriptions beneath our feet. In it. "21. Who was there in the defoliated jungle? The burning water spreading over bodies. Fuck. That was where Gaia and Pan were supposed to hold hands and walk across the DMZ. That was the vision deliberately wiped out by Nixon's scheme. More than 1 million dead because of his lust for power. Remember, I loved you in the DMZ, North and South, either or, loved you there. 22. Forget about Gaia's offspring for now. A creation myth is one way to understand what the imagination reaches for. We're here facing something we can't imagine. And moving to the end, the last several sections of the poem. 38. Remember, the air was still, trees motionless, the sky touched my chest. Here at the rocks on the river edge, you came to feel. How does the soul speak? Does it come out of the blue or out of some recondite preparation unknown to us in day? I was under the illusion that I will never forget Hiroshima. The flash was a giant yellow light. Bokuzuki were useless. The houses in the neighborhood were gone in a flash. She, the illusion is so perfect that tourists cry. He, what else can a tourist do? 39. We're heating up like mid-Miocene. Biotic attrition is just a euphemism. A quarter of all species headed toward nada. He, the phyla of books, music, art, zigzag of buildings to God. 40. She. Nothing can be brought back into nothingness nor be created out of naught. Lucretius. Who teaches the soul? Juan de la Cruz. How the diamond comes and goes, not like a bolt, but like the breeze of a curtain opening. 41. He, as for the radioactive dating of rock, rethink, stones equal milestones, life in hand. Bronze light of late day off the river, the momentary sheen. She, signifying something between souls. Love remains the seam and the rock. Dusk turns the hydrangea deep blue. 42. He, I rode under the throatless rhapsode of the towers, columns of light pouring down on my body, spilling into the concrete vault under the river, clouds stitched by light, strung out by cochineal birds, smears of the citron sun bubbling under the churned up waves, tugs and barges disappearing into the water's silky seams, folding into the gold ripples. 43. She, think of Monet painting blind, the emptiness of blue. Top of the skull rises into the smoke from distant queens. Spiraling into the lily pond of the sky, the ochre end of day, a smooth brush of horizon. Van Gogh said, absolute black does not exist. Keep in mind his joy in the purple shadow moving over us as the violet dark comes down, just as the black silhouettes of Shadow Man are visible in the night facades. He, I know beneath this hull is rift and subduction, underwater jazz and terror, as if Sun Ra and Chopin embraced beneath a surface they didn't understand. She, light spills as the dark comes, chalk floats off the silhouettes. 45. Louis, you saw nothing. Elle, I saw everything. Louis, what did it mean to you? The curtains are always moving. Light turns the hydrangea deep blue.
Hi, I'm Ezra Fox, Managing Editor of Arrowsmith Press. I'd like to thank Oksana, Peter, Megan, and Kythe for their wonderful readings and presentations, and all of you for coming and caring about literature. Below this video, you'll find a link where you can support these authors by ordering their books. If you like their work, the best thing you can do is tell other people about it. Share this video, send them a book, or even post a quote on social media. It's so important not to keep good literature a secret. I also want to thank Oskald Melnicek, the founder and senior editor of Arrowsmith Press, for his ongoing love and passion for literature. And of course, this event would not have happened without our dedicated staff. Head of Marketing Jacqueline Rosenbaum, summer interns Rishona Michael and Lara Stekwick, video artist Rhea Amin, and our editorial assistants, Cardinal Belgrave Jr., Johnny Lipshin, Jess Skylison, Cherish Collins, and Wes Smith. Thank you again for coming, and look for news soon about our next event featuring Douglas Pennick. Stay safe, and we hope to see you in person soon.